Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going through the books on my TBR list. Some of them are on my physical TBR shelf and the others I'll be reading from my Goodreads TBR list. One thing about me is I will never get bored of adding books to my TBR list, and despite having a plethora of books sitting on my physical TBR shelf, just unread, collecting dust, I will still continue to add to my TBR list and go out and buy new books or get new books from the library. It's a bit of a problem, so I think I'm going to try and prioritise the books on my physical TBR shelf when it comes to my next few reads. Okay, I don't know how long this video is going to be, so let's get into it. I'll start with the ones on my physical bookshelf. Also, sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. He's lying next to me asleep and he snores really loudly. He's not snoring at the minute, but I can guarantee that he will start. First on the list is We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I actually hadn't heard of this book until I saw a lot of people talking about it on Book Talk. I still don't really know exactly what it's about, but I'm excited to read it because I've heard lots of good things about it. It seems to be a book that people read around Halloween, October time, so I'm going to be keeping it for then. So until then, it will sit on my shelf. Okay, next is The Maid by Nita Prose. I actually bought this book for my mum and she really enjoyed it, so she's given it to me to read. Next up, The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. I've never read anything by Ruth Ware before, but I've heard so many good things about this book. A common theme amongst these is I don't really know what any of these books are about exactly, but I definitely think there's like a ghost haunted house kind of vibe to it. That might be completely wrong. Correct me if I am wrong, but I've heard loads of people speaking really highly about that one, so another one that I'm excited to read at some point. Again, I'll probably keep that for October time, Halloween, spooky season. Next is The Birdcage by Eve Chase. This one I literally don't have a clue what it's about at all. When half-sisters Lauren, Flora and Kat are unexpectedly summoned to the Cornish house where they spent their childhood summers, it's the first time they've dared return. Because the wild cliffs and windswept beaches hide a 20-year-old secret, the truth about what they did. Someone who remembers them lurks in the shadows, watching their every move, and there are other secrets, even darker than their own, waiting to be unearthed. Sounds good. I think I might have to read this one soon, actually. The Housemaid, I've read. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. There's a few books by Lucy Foley that I want to read because I've heard that they're really good. I think one of them's The Hunting Party. I haven't read anything by Lucy Foley, but I think I'm going to read this one soon. I actually picked that one up for a charity shop recently for like £1 or something. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Again, I've heard so many incredible things about this book and this series. Again, that's another one that I want to get around to reading soon. As I'm going through this list, I'm realising how many books there are that I want to read as soon as possible. Dracula and Frankenstein, they have been on my TBR list for years. I don't know if I'm going to read them anytime soon. I think if I do read them again, it'll be around like October, Halloween time. Maybe this will be the year that I get around to reading them, but we'll see. Also, Emma, Pride and Prejudice, The Great Gatsby's on there, Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, all books that I want to read, but classics scare me. I find them really intimidating, and again, they've been on my TBR list for years. Not sure when I'll read them, but I'm sure I will one day. Hamnet. Honestly, I picked this up in a charity shop because I liked the cover, but I did read the blurb and it does sound really good. And it doesn't sound like anything I've read before and not something I'd typically go for, so that's always good. Again, I think that might be one that sits on my TBR list for a little while. There's definitely other books that I want to read first, but I'm sure I'll get around to reading it at some point. The Foundling by Stacey Halls. Again, this is one that I was drawn to because of the cover. But the blurb sounded really interesting as well. The Book Thief. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. I have seen the movie and I absolutely loved it so much. The book's just a bit of a chunky one, so it's one that I've put off for a while, even though I know it'll be so good and I've heard so many amazing things about it, so I really should just get around to reading it. Anxious People by Frederick Backman. I read A Man Called Over, I think that's how you pronounce it. I read it towards the end of 2023 and absolutely loved it, so I want to read all of his books, but I've got that one actually sitting on my shelf, and again, that's one that I want to get around to reading sooner rather than later. Ask Again Yes. This has been on my TBR list for so long and I've had it sitting on my shelf for so long. I actually started trying to read it like a few years ago and was just struggling to get into it, but I don't necessarily think that means it's not going to be a book I enjoy. Sometimes I'll start reading a book and I can't get into it, but it's just because I'm not kind of in the mood for that type of book, and I come back to it later, whether it's weeks, months, years later, and then I really enjoy it. So I'm definitely going to try again with that one. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I have seen so many people talking about how incredible this book is, and it's a really short one as well. I'm not sure if it's just a short book or if it's a collection of short stories, but I think that actually might be my next read. I'm really intrigued to see what all the hype is about. Normal People and Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I have never read anything by Sally Rooney before. I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't. Again, these have been sitting on my TBR shelf for the longest time, and I don't know why I haven't read them yet, especially because there's so much hype around them. If you've read them, please let me know which of the two you preferred. Watermelon by Marion Keyes is on the shelf. I have never read anything by Marion Keyes before, and Again, I feel like everyone else has read Marion Keyes and I'm the only one left who hasn't. Nightcrawling and The Bandit Queens were both presents from my boyfriend. I, again, haven't got around to reading them. There's just so many books, such little time. But yeah, I'm sure I'll get around to reading them sometime soon, hopefully. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager is on the shelf. Again, I've never read anything by Riley Sager, and that's another author where I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't read anything by them. If you have read anything by Riley Sager, please let me know which books by him you'd recommend, whether this one is a good one to start with or if there's others that you think are better. But I probably should start with this one, seeing as literally sitting on my bookshelf. I've heard Riley Sager books are so good, so I'm really excited to read this one. What Alice Forgot by Leanne Moriarty. I should really check how to pronounce that. I've read a few books by this author and I really enjoy them. I'm actually currently reading Apples Never Fall. Again, I'm not sure when I'll get around to reading this one, but it's there for when I do decide to pick it up. And then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I cannot believe I haven't read this book yet. This has been on my TBR list for so long, and obviously there is so much hype around this one. It's all over Book Talk. And again, I feel like I'm the only person left that hasn't read it. And I don't know why I haven't read it, because I have heard so many incredible things, and it's one that I've been really excited to read. So maybe that's going to be my next read. Okay, that's all the physical books on my shelf that I haven't read yet. I'm going to go through the books on my TBR list on Goodreads. Okay, firstly, I've got a few Emily Henry books on here. I have never read an Emily Henry book. I know. Again, it's another author that I feel like literally the only person left on earth who hasn't read an Emily Henry book. And I feel like I really need to change that. I need to get involved. I've just heard too many incredible things and I really need to see what the hype is about. Please let me know which of her books you think is best. I've got Beach Read, Happy Place and Funny Story on here, so please let me know which one I should start with. Babel and Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Again, so much hype around Yellowface. I just need to see what all the hype's about. And Babel, I've heard lots of incredible things. Like the people that I've seen talking about Babel seem to absolutely love it, so that's another one that's on there. Shuggy Bane by Douglas Stewart. Again, I've seen people speak so highly about this book. Bunny and Rouge by Mona Awad. I recently read All's Well by Mona Awad. It was my first book by her that I've read and I love her writing. All's Well was just a wild ride and it gave me real fever dream vibes, which I have heard is also the case for Bunny and Rouge, so I'm very excited to read them as well. Circe is on here as well. I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller and really enjoyed it, and I've heard really good things about Circe. I've seen quite a few people say that they preferred Circe to The Song of Achilles, so very excited for that one. And also Clytemnestra is on there as well. I do want to read more Greek mythology. It's not something I know a lot or anything about, so I'm excited to read more Greek mythology. If We Were Villains, I don't know what this is about. I think it's dark academia, that's all I know. Big Swiss, I've seen all over Book Talk and people seem to love it, so that went straight on there. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I have seen people speaking so highly about this author and just saying her writing is incredible. I've also got Part of Your World on there because that's a two-part series and Part of Your World comes first, I believe. So I've got both of them on there, but I'm very excited to read Yours Truly because yeah, I've heard so many good things. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've heard this is just the most beautiful book, and I don't know why I keep putting this one off because it's been on my TBR list for so long, so maybe I'll get around to reading that this year. The Women by Kristen Hanna. One of her other books, The Nightingale, is one of my favourite books I've ever read, so I'm really excited to read this one. The 7 Year Slip, another one that I've seen all over Book Talk and people seem to love it. Not the type of book that I'd normally gravitate towards, but I've just heard too many good things to not have that on my TBR list. First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. I think that's one that I saw on Book Talk as well. I don't actually know what that's about at all. The Secret Lives of Church Ladies. I believe that's a collection of short stories and I've had this on my TBR list for a while. Again, this is one that I want to get around to reading sooner rather than later. I haven't got many non-fiction books on here. I think this might be the only one. Period Power, Harness Your Hormones and Get Your Cycle Working for You. This intrigues me because I just want to learn more about the menstrual cycle and periods and everything to do with that. Magnolia Parks. I'm not gonna lie, I'm intimidated by this series. It feels like a big commitment, but I've just seen so many people just saying so many incredible things. People absolutely love it. So I just need to get in on the hype and I just need to start this series. Cleopatra and Frankenstein, another one that I've seen all over Book Talk. Is it worth it? Please let me know. Good Material by Dolly Alderton. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches and The Ex-Hex are both books I want to read this October. I did want to read them last October but just didn't get around to it. So I'm definitely reading them this spooky season. Crying in H Mart. This has been on my TBR list for a long time and it's one that I keep putting off because I just feel like it's going to be a really emotional one and I feel like I need to be like emotionally prepared for it. Firefly Lane, another one by Kristen Hanna that I am really excited to read. I've heard the series is really good as well. The Last Anniversary, another one by Leanne Moriarty. Okay, I need to work out how to pronounce that because I can't keep guessing. Okay, Leanne Moriarty. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. One of her other books, Little Fires Everywhere, is one of my favourite books I've ever read, so I definitely need to get around to reading this one soon. The Only One Left, another one by Riley Sager. I've seen this one all over BookTok, and the cover is just like really striking, and that definitely drew me to it. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. That's been on my TBR list for a long time, and it's again just another one that I haven't got around to reading. Watching You by Lisa Jewell, another author that I've never read anything by. Shocking behaviour, because I feel like everyone else has read at least one of Lisa Jewell's books. If you have read any Lisa Jewell, please let me know if this is a good one to start with or if there's others that you think are better. And then I've got East of Eden and The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, another one that I have not read, and I feel like the only person that hasn't. Obviously this absolutely was all over BookTok, and I really, really want to see what the hype is about, because people seem to absolutely love it. And I think that's it. Yeah, the others I've already mentioned. I am sure this list will continue to grow and grow, and I will continue to add to it and accumulate new books despite having far too many already on my TBR list. Please do let me know if you've read any of these books or if any of these are on your TBR list as well. And also let me know if you have any recommendations for books that I should add to my TBR list. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe, like, and press the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. I hope you're having a really lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, that is cold.